Alright, everything is set up. Hello, everybody. And I know what you're thinking. You're looking at the screen and you're saying, wait a second, this does not look like Fire Emblem Heroes. This looks like a tier list. Well, it is a tier list. While I'm waiting for my orbs to recuperate from that awful failure of an Easter summoning, I decided that I was going to do that tier video that I have always talked about wanting to make. Now, this isn't going to be a tier video based off of stats or based off of classes because I know jack squat about that. No, what this is going to be about is something that I'm a little bit more experienced in, which is which Fire Emblem character would make the perfect husband slash father, or basically which Fire Emblem Fates character is the perfect partner. Oh goodness, I feel almost embarrassed just saying that, but I'm just gonna roll with it. That's where I specialize in. Now, this tier video is gonna be a little bit different. Obviously, this tier video is gonna be completely subjective. It's not gonna be based off of what other people think. It's just gonna be based off of my own personal opinion. So, if I put a guy that you love in a bad ranking, please don't be mad. It's just my subjective opinion. I'll try not to be too harsh because I know what it's like to have a really good husband that you want the world to know and enjoy and nobody likes them. Like Shura, who everyone uses for boots. I've heard no end of the boots jokes. But anyways, he's not gonna be a boot joke in this video. We're just gonna get started on this. So it's gonna be a long time until I do a redemption video on my summoning. Right now I'm at 52 orbs in Fire Emblem Heroes, so that redemption video is not gonna come in anytime soon. This video is just here to pass the time, and hopefully you guys will get some enjoyment out of this. Hopefully I'll get some enjoyment out of this. I don't know if I will or not. I'm already just embarrassed as it is. We'll see if I put this video up or not. It won't be up the same night that I'm recording. I'm recording this on Sunday night. It is March 21st. As I'm recording it, I'm gonna be drawing a whole new thumbnail for the video, and I'm gonna take my time editing it so that I am not up until 2 o'clock in the morning. But anyways, to start off, characters are going to be ranked on how good they are as husbands and how good they are as fathers. And this is going to affect their overall score. Characters who are confirmed relatives are going to be added to the oh no bro list, which is, again, if you guys married Ryoma or Xander or Takumi or Leo or anything like that, I'm not judging. You know, I think it's more of the game's fault that they put everybody in that weird position. I'll give my personal thoughts on them. I'm still gonna just add them to the list, but they are, as for me, they are a no-go, just off of personal principle. The other thing, so appearances, like, you know, physical appearance isn't gonna affect it much because otherwise that wouldn't be very fair. Again, we're only looking on how good they are as husbands, which is kind of gonna play into their overall supports. Like, it's not gonna be simply just S support or simply just their starting off C support. It's gonna be overall. I try to do a little bit of research into everybody's supports. And then how good they are as fathers. If it's a character like Kaze or Laszlo or Hinata who already has a kid, I am gonna put that into consideration because they had a kid right there. If it's a single, you know, what they call the corn sexuals like Izana or Fuga. Gosh, I was kind of blanking out. I didn't know if I was going to use Gunther or Fuga as an example. If it's one of those characters where it's just them and Kana, I'll just base their interactions on Kana, even though it's more or less kind of scripted as the same thing. Everybody's always is. But I guess it kind of also just plays into how good they are. So, let's get started on this video. We'll try to go as it is on the screen, like as it is right here, except we're just going to get this out of the way right now. Shura's going in S rank. We're establishing that right now. Yes, I am biased. Yes, I'm playing favorites. Yes, Shura is the only character that I've ever married in Fates. In Birthright and in Revelation. I didn't play Conquest because I'm too much of a little biatch to play Conquest and just go against everything I've basically established. Anyways, we'll start off with that. I'm gonna put Shura in S rank. 1, because his supports with Corrin are very polite and respectful, and you get a good feeling for his character. He never treats Corrin with disrespect. And in fact, it's actually quite the opposite. And his supports with Kana are absolutely adorable. I know they're scripted, again. Every single character kind of has the same support like that, but one of the things that was absolutely endearing about Shura and Kana's support was right after the fact that Kana basically says, well, she wasn't actually saying thank you. Was she, did she really think I'm actually doing a good job? And then he says, oh no, I'm sure you are. But more importantly, that means you've been cheating, you little ogre. It's cute. I love it. So that's out of the way. Now, personal biases aside, let's get officially started on the list. First up, we have Ryoma, who is going straight to the oh no bro list. But if you want my personal thoughts, I think that if I were to officially list him, Ryoma would probably go in the B tier. And the reason for that being, cast aside all the whole brother-sister relationship thing that makes it weird, he is a good husband. He is very, I guess, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not diligent, but attentive, I guess. That type of character. And he's also just genuinely heartfelt and nice. The only thing that would put him in the B tier is that his relationship with Shiro, something about it rubbed me the wrong way. In fact, out of all the siblings, I would honestly think that each and every one of them would rank higher than Ryoma would, mainly because if we look at his support with Shiro, he doesn't tell Shiro that he's the, official king of Hoshido. He kind of just gives him a vague idea that, hey, you're royalty and you're gonna have to take up this great big mantle someday, but doesn't really prepare him for that. So that's where he would kind of be on the B tier. Now, Xander's up next, and he's also going in the oh no bro tier list. Although if you ask me personally as well, I think he would go in the A tier, not S tier. I think the only thing that would hold him back from the S tier is that he's a little bit more stern than Ryoma is. I guess a little more strict. And personally with me, that wouldn't jive very well. However, the thing that would make him A tier is that his relationship with Sigbert is absolutely top notch. This is a guy who had a bad relationship with his father and knows exactly how to make the relationship with his son right. And his supports with Sigbert are, in fact, probably the exact opposite of Ryoma's, where Ryoma expects everything of Shiro, and Shiro's just kind of like, yeah, you're putting a little bit too much responsibility on me for somebody who kind of didn't prep me up for this properly. Sigbert and Xander are a little bit the opposite, where Sigbert's like, hey, I want you to know that I want to be everything that you would think that a prince of Nor would be. And Xander's just like, I'm happy you're my son, so he would be A tier. Now, getting on to official bachelors on the list. We have Saizo, and if we're being honest, he's between a C tier and a D tier. I think I would actually put him as D tier, and the only reason why I would put him as D tier is because while he definitely softens up as a husband, his relationship with Asagi, or should we just call other Gaius, but we'll call him Asagi, his relationship with Asagi is not so good. I'll give him high-ranking points that he's there constantly for Asagi growing up, but that's more to reinforce that his training is going well and that he's going to carry the next line of being Saizo the sixth. I don't know how to pronounce that. After Saizo passes on his title. And while he kind of ends up being better, in the A supports, the only thing I would say that also keeps him from being a C tier is that if you play the Fates DLC where all the kids have to save their dads, it's actually kind of revealed that Saizo went with Ryoma to go save Shiro, and Ryoma had to tell Saizo, hey, go save your own kid, be a father. So that's the only reason he's going in D tier. And don't get me wrong, I was almost gonna marry this guy in my first run when I was playing Birthright. Birthright was my first run, and I was almost gonna marry him until I found out he had an ex-girlfriend, and that tends to be messy business. So I put him and Kagero back together, and thankfully that happened because I wouldn't have gotten to marry Shura. So D tier it is. He could kind of fluctuate between C tier and D tier as a good husband and father, but all things considered, he's a D tier. Now, Laszlo, we're calling him Laszlo in this. We're not keeping, I guess that's another rule that I should add. So for Laszlo and Odin, I'm not going to take into account any of their awakening supports, because these guys are technically their own separate characters, even though they are the same. But just for the sake of fairness, we're keeping this all together. So Laszlo, I'm going to put, I don't know if I put him in S tier, maybe? I have to think about. Yeah, okay, you know what? I put him in S tier. So, while he kind of flirts with every single girl that he meets, and technically, even if you marry him, his supports stay the same, I do get the feeling he's a guy who would stay more loyal once he actually settled down with somebody. And he's actually a really good father to Soleil, especially because Soleil's such a... Oh gosh, Soleil's a sweetheart. I love her. I really do. And he is a good dad for her, and in their paralogue together, when she starts freaking out and starts crying and he just says, hey, you know what I do? I just laugh. Like, he's a great father. So, yeah, I guess I'd put him in A tier, or not A tier, S tier. I don't know. I guess I don't want to give the spot up to Shura, but anyways, let's keep moving on. Now we have Leo, which is going back into the oh no bro territory. Although, if we're being honest, I would put Leo in A tier. He's not S tier simply because there's a lot of tension between him and Forrest before they make up. But the reason why he wouldn't be B tier is because when they do make up, Leo acknowledges that he was very set in old-fashioned ways and that he had a very harsh, bigoted view of his son's... I don't even want to call it... Oh gosh, I don't know if you'd call it cross-dressing or not, because the whole thing behind Forrest's, choice of clothing was that it's not necessarily boy or girl, I just like what makes me feel pretty, and I can respect that. And Leo manages to grow as a character and accept his son for who he is. And if you look at the Fates DLC that I was talking about before, oh gosh, that painting with Forrest, like, happily prancing into Leo's open arms for a hug. I just love it. It's so cute. So he would be A tier, but he's going in the oh no bro category. Now we're going to my unpopular opinion that people are going to hate me for. This is going straight to F tier. Niles is just F tier. I'm sorry. Personal opinion. Niles is not... There's nothing about Niles that would garner him to go up a tier at all, because as a character, his supports generally with everybody are not good, but mainly his supports with Corrin also are not good because he cannot get his libido out of the way even when he's trying to talk to somebody in an appropriate manner. Like, that whole thing about oil wrestling is just really kind of creepy. So he's staying... And, okay, that's the other thing, too. He's a terrible father. Poor Nina. My poor baby Nina. She... Like, oh gosh, I feel bad for her. When you look at her paralogue, what she's doing isn't morally black or white. It's morally gray, and I completely understand the reasoning for why she's doing it. And Niles kind of comes in hypocritically to judge her for her choices, even though he hasn't been there for her as a father. So I feel like he gets no say of being kind of a authority figure to her. And even in the DLC, even when she's up against him, she's not like completely upset. She's just like, oh great, out of everybody here, I was hoping I wouldn't have to see you. He wasn't there for her as a father. He's not very good as a husband. He's just going into F tier. Granted, he's probably an affectionate guy once he gets married, but overall, just his, like I said, his supports aren't good. and he's not very good as a father. Now, we're going back into the oh no bro category with Takumi, but if we are being honest, I would actually place Takumi in S tier. Yes, he would actually go even higher than Ryoma or Xander. The reason being that his supports with Korin are like, you kind of get, like, he genuinely starts to, you know, open up to her, even by the B rank, when he shows that he cares when she injures her arm, or injures her hand. And then as a father to Kiragi, I'm trying to pronounce it right. I'm not very good with pronouncing half of these names, so if I get any of these pronounced wrong, I apologize. He's a really good father to Kiragi, and if you watch their support, even when he kind of admits that in his vanity, I guess, in his pride of being an archer, he hurt his son's, or he unintentionally hurt his son's confidence, even though his son was saying, no, I could use the extra pointers. He's just like, yeah, but that didn't come from me trying to help you to be a better person. That came from me trying to hold on to my pride as an archer, and that was wrong of me. So he's honest with his son, and I can respect that. So he would actually be an S tier of father. But he's gonna be in the oh no bro category, so sorry bro. Now up next we have Hinata, who I think out of the fathers, he's gonna be a B tier. He's gonna be our first B tier ranking, being that he's a very easygoing, laid back, but also feisty guy. And if we're being honest, I kind of like those feisty type characters. And he was like, I don't think I was deeply considering him when I was playing through my route, but he was one of my considerations. He would, you know, he's obviously very friendly and gets along with everybody, and even in his support, even though Korin kind of gets just fed up and she's just like, okay, well, I'm leaving, he's like, hey, wait a second. The only thing that holds him back in B tier is his interactions with Hinata. It's not an awful father to Hinata. He's certainly got a better, I guess, opinion of his son than some of the other lower tier characters do. The only problem is that he doesn't visit his son very often, and he kind of doesn't observe his son's emotions and how staying away from him affected that, and he kind of doesn't really, I guess, I mean, he kind of does make up for him. I'm trying to remember exactly how their support goes. I know that Hinata said, you know, I named my sword after you because I feel like I didn't get to spend enough time with you as a father. I think he genuinely loves Hinata. It's just that he was, being that he's a bit of a bonehead. one of the things I would like about characters being a little bit, you know, a little bit feisty and a little bit stupid, which is essentially being him both. He just kind of forgets to visit his son, so he would stick in a B tier. Now up next we have Benny, who undeniably is going into S tier. Benny is gentle. Benny is very nice and kind. He is basically the Mordecai of Fates. And when he has a son, when he has Ignatius, he is absolutely the best father. I don't know if I'd say he might be the best father hands down out of all the other characters, mainly because he kind of taught his son, like, to be brave. Like, okay, their supports are a little bit goofy, and I think he kind of realizes in his supports that he's hypocritical asking his son to be braver than he is, but it's very clear that he's got a good relationship with his son, and it's very clear that in their paralogue, the moment he hears that Benny is in trouble, there's no ounce of cowardice that he's technically known for. He just busts right the heck in. So he's up in the S tier. I'd want to say, it's kind of funny because if we think about it, Benny is S tier, and he's like, you know, he's kind of like Mordecai from the Radiant series, and then his son kind of reminds me of Yarn from the Awakening series. I actually bet Ignatius and Yarn would be really good friends. I hope that if Ignatius gets in, he gets in as a general banner character and not a GHB, because I know the GHB units tend to not get any forging bond times. But anyways, we're digressing. So, back to the list. Arthur. I would say he fluctuates between A tier and S tier, and Okay, you know what? No, I take that back. Arthur easily goes into S tier. The only reason why I would have held back and said he would be A tier is because in the sense of Hinata, he kind of also didn't get to visit his son very much and kind of doesn't understand that. But then once things get cleared up, it's obvious that he's, you know, on good terms with his son. And then and then the other thing too that would make him S tier, he's the one that got ace for Percy. So that is very obviously, you know, literally risked life and limb to find a friend for Percy when he couldn't be there, which I think would be a step above naming your sword after your son when your son doesn't get to really understand that. So Arthur's an A tier, I would say, for that. Now Keaton goes into A tier. I think Keaton would be our first A tier. And the reason for that being that while he is definitely good husband material, where he opens up to Corin and kind of starts to consider Corin's, I guess, I don't know if consider Corin's feelings, but definitely likes to spend time with Corin as shown by getting the seashell for Corin in the A support. That would, you know, great husband. But then with Valoria, even though Valoria loves Keaton as her father, it's kind of sad to see Keaton being like, you know, oh, you're a little too clingy. Like, come on, man, that's your daughter. She loves you. And, you know, you guys are both, like, wolfskin characters. It's just natural. That just makes me sad because Valoria is such a sweetheart. And it just, I don't know. I'm getting way too emotional over these fictional characters. So A tier for Keaton. He could be S tier if he was a little bit nicer to his daughter, especially because Caden is, you know, Caden and Keaton are kind of both similar in different ways, except that Caden's more outgoing and Keaton's more the tsundere, but Keaton is, you know, Keaton's got a better relationship with his daughter too. He's kind of got the energy to match his daughter's spunkiness. So I would say he's, you know, A tier. That's the only thing holding him back. Now, Jacob, people are not going to like this, but I'm going to put Jacob in D tier. And that is because while he is a great husband choice, a little bit too, gosh, I can't say a little bit too clingy right after I right after I basically said that Keaton was too, you know, I guess, insensitive of his daughter's clinginess. Jacob would be a good husband. I think the only issue would be the fact that independence doesn't get to be a factor if you marry him, because it would be very hard to find some kind of independence from a character like Jacob, who, like, even in the supports, he kind of lies about, oh, the tea tastes awful, I better, you know, fix it, and then, oh, look, Corin, you did a good job. I guess in husband terms he'd be an A tier, but the reason why he's in D tier is because of his relationship with Dwyer, and that, I'm sorry, that is an awful relationship he had. So between Dwyer and Jacob, like, okay, I get it. Dwyer's kind of I'm trying to say something without being too mean. Dwyer's a little bit more laid back, I guess. Dwyer's lower energy. But the fact of the matter is that Jacob felt threatened, I guess, by Dwyer's performance as a butler, by Dwyer saying, hey, I bet I could probably be a better butler than you, like, do you know the first thing of that? And then their A support was atrocious. The fact that Jacob had to essentially beat his son in physical combat into submission, that's a no-go for me. I wouldn't like that, especially if, you know, if you're somebody's father and you're supposed to be building him up. That's where, you know, that's where Takumi would be S tier, in the fact that he admitted to Kiragi that he was insecure in his pride as an archer and admitted that to his son and apologized for it. Jacob literally just beats the crap out of his son and says, yeah, I'm the best, don't you forget it, you know, and that's the end of our support. So yeah, he's a D tier. And now we have Asugi. Asugi does not have a lot of personality, I guess. He's just kind of Gaius number 2, but he's more, I guess I would say he's a C tier, mainly in the fact that while he's kind of nice enough, he's a little bit more, I don't know, there's a difference. Okay, For all the reincarnation characters like Asagi and Raja and Kaldori, there's subtle differences that make the characters better or worse. And for Asagi, I'd say he's more snarky, I guess. So he'd be in a relative C tier. Whereas Gaius is like... Gaius is just 110% better than Asagi. Gaius kind of rolls with everybody, works well with everybody. He's, you know, a little bit, like, sneaky and kind of... I don't want to say moralless, because obviously he has some morals where he's just like, yeah, I found out they were going to kill the Exalt, and I was like... But, like I said, we're not trying to compare that. Either way, Asagi as himself is just at a C tier. He's not extraordinary, he's not, you know, too bad, he's just meh. Now, Kaze is easily going into S tier, and I mean, I shouldn't have to explain that one too, but the reason for that one being that he is a great husband, he's kind and gentle, he helps everybody out, and he also opens up to Corrin about something that had guilted him essentially for years, something that he couldn't have helped. And then, like I said, then the other thing is that his daughter, Midori, he has a great relationship with his daughter. He, you know, loves her, and it's shown that he clearly has spent enough time with her, more than his brother has spent with his son, because you know that Midori has a good opinion of her father, and she, you know, like, she gets to visit him, and especially in their supports where she's kind of like, well, if you're busy, I don't want to trouble you, and he says, well, no, I'm always going to make time for you, because you're my daughter, and I love you. So, there's not much to say. He's an S tier. And, oh, Percy's up next on the list. Okay, I don't know if I would put that on the oh no bro, he's a little too young for me. I mean, he's way too young for me, but I guess since he's not technically... He doesn't fall under the rules of a confirmed relative, so I guess we'll put him on the list, but keep in mind, I would not support this kid. Way too young. And also, if we're being honest, I don't think I would ever, like, support one of the children of the characters in Fates. So, I guess we'll put him up in a 8 tier. Like I said, it still feels wrong trying to go through all that, but as a person, he's a good kid. He definitely inherited his father's good traits, you know, sense of justice, being kind and helping people out, so he'd be an A tier, I guess. But like I said, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Now we're up to Forest, which is going back into the oh no bro territory. Although if we were to put Forest in a ranking, I'd say Forest also goes into A tier, I guess. Being that he is very kind and very... I mean, I guess, I don't know what would put him in S. I don't know if he'd be S tier or A tier. Maybe he would be. He's just a genuine sweetheart. He definitely wants to... I'm trying to think of the phrasing. It's been a long time since I've played Fates, but I know the characters well enough. Forrest is a good kid. And I think the other thing too is that his views of people, like, he's not a very strict person when it comes to viewing others. Like, I guess where his dad was kind of judgmental, he's less judgmental. That's what I'm trying to say. Gosh, I caught up on sleep, by the way. I'm not delirious anymore, but I'm still losing my words. So, Forrest is a very open and non-judgmental person, so he'd either be A tier or S tier, I guess, if he was officially on the list, but he's not. And to add to the oh no bro tier, we are going to Sigbert, who is going to be in the oh no bro tier, but if I had to put him anywhere, he would also probably be A tier or S tier, being that he is very polite, very mature, very... I'm trying to think of more words to... Like, I feel like if I'm talking about all these characters, I'm using the same words, but breaking it down, I only have so many descriptor words. He's very... he'd be very well-rounded as a character. But he's in the oh no bro character because he is officially a nephew, officially blood relative. So next up, we are going to Ignatius, who's probably... I don't know, I guess I'd probably also put him in the S tier. I mean, he's just like his dad. He's a little bit... I'd say he's just a little bit more scared and a little bit more timid, but he's still just as nice. So, yeah, I guess I'd put him in an S tier, except I haven't really... I guess out of all the characters I did research on, I didn't do enough research on Ignatius. I'm sorry, dude. But, you know, we'll put him up there. Maybe, I don't know if anybody married Ignatius. I didn't, like I said, we are in this territory only. This is my only man. Now, we have, back to the oh no bro category, is Shiro. Although, if we're being honest, I'd probably put Shiro in the S tier if I could. Because he's probably the better version of his father. He's a lot less strict. He's a lot less, I guess, rigid. He's very much more easygoing, and also the guy knows how to fish. Get you a man who can not only cook, but also hunt. So, S tier he would be. Now, Yukimura, I'm gonna put maybe in the A tier, simply because while I guess he's a good character, the only issue is that, oh gosh, okay, look, if we're being honest, age is not a matter for me. Obviously, I married a character who's well in his, you know, late 30s, early 40s, depending on what the age was. But the thing that makes Yukimura's supports a little weird is just that he knew you, I guess. There's already that familial bond of like, oh, I was serving the queen and like I knew you when you were a child. So that just makes things a little bit weird. But that shouldn't affect his status as a father or a husband. So I'm just gonna put him in an A rank because he's very, you know, soft-spoken, he's very kind. His voice actor is Uncle Ben from Ben 10, which threw me off, because when I heard his voice, I was like, wait a second, I know that voice. And, wait, no, did I call him Uncle Ben? Is it Uncle Max? I called him Uncle Ben! I'm sorry! Oh, my energy, oh gosh, my memory's so bad. Sorry, I meant Uncle Max. Wrong uncle. Oh gosh, okay. A tier, anyways. That's bad. Okay, now next up we have Dwyer, who is also going in the A tier. Dwyer's nice enough. Dwyer is probably better than his dad. The only thing is that he's just very low energy, so it would feel very hard to have a character who's low energy as a husband. Like I said, personally, I like guys with a bit of spunk or a little bit of fire in them. And I think mostly the problem is that Dwyer's supports come from the fact that he has a kind of a rivalry with his father, so it's less about getting to know Corrin and more about trying to get Corrin's approval so that he can one-up his dad. So I guess that's the only reason he would be in A tier. I guess, no, yeah, I guess I'd actually put him in B tier because of that. I'm sorry, Dwyer fans. If you like him, I'm sorry, that's not me trying to be mean to him, that's just what it is. Now we have Gunther, who would also probably go in A tier for the same reasons that Yukimura went to A tier, which being that, one, he's kind of more of a father figure. That's I guess the difference between Yukimura and Gunther is that Gunther is actually more of like the established father figure. It's literally said that, and I'm probably gonna get these mixed up because I don't remember which one is male, which one's female. I think in the female support for Gunther, King Garen would, I'm trying to remember, I think King Garen told Gunther to whip Corrin as punishment for something, and Gunther instead took the whip, broke it apart, knotted it into a ball, and played catch with Corrin. And I think in the male version, King Garen said to starve Corrin, and Gunther snuck food in. So, I mean, technically as a father figure, he'd be great, but again, that just puts it into a weird perspective if you marry him. I'm not judging, and I'm not judging, by the way, too. I have a friend on DeviantArt who married him, and, you know, like I said, I'm not judging. I'm not judging at all. She loves him. I'm happy for her. I don't know if she'd ever, like, watch these videos or not. I don't share my YouTube channel with other people, but if somehow you happen to stumble upon this, I don't know if I want to name drop her, but I kind of will. Dusty, if you're watching this, I'm not judging your husband at all. I'm putting him in an A rank just for you. I'm not judging. It's, you know, your personal choice. So, I mean, my personal choice and your personal choice. I think you got yourself a fine man with Gunther. I approve 100%. But for me, he's just staying in A tier. Now, we have Izana, who, hands down, quite easily, even though he's not my type, is going up into the S tier. Izana is probably one of my favorite platonic characters. Actually, okay, one of my favorite male platonic characters, because also, I don't know if I can, like, fix the recording on this, but you're going to be seeing all the stuff on the bottom. I don't know how to make the... I guess, I don't know how to make this look professional, but here we are at that. So, if I'm going to talk about Izana, platonically, as a male character, is probably one of the best platonic male characters that you can have, being that he is that best friend that would go out shopping with you, would take you out for boba tea or something like that. You know, just a dude who loves life. And then having that guy as your husband is, like, even a step up. Personally, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't marry him. I got more best buddy vibes from him, like BFFs vibes from him. But as a husband, he makes a good choice. And as a father to Kana, in the same way that, like, Shura says, like, oh, you were cheating, and calls him, endearingly calls him a little ogre, he will endearingly call Kana a little squirt. So he's just a good father and a good husband. He's very chill, very laid back, very, eccentric. He almost, like, my personal opinion is that he's kind of like Weird Al Yankovic as a Fire Emblem character. I don't know why I said that, but he just gives me that kind of vibe. Now, next up, we have Odin, who... I want to say Odin goes into the A tier. And while it makes me sad that his support with Corrin is very... What's the word for it? His support with Corrin is very... stressed. Like, Corrin doesn't really seem to enjoy Odin for who he is, even though supposedly in the S tier, that's what it is. She kind of just treats him coldly, and that's the one time I don't like Corrin as a character, being, as a self-insert character. But I will give her the fact that if you are constantly talking in a dramatic flair, that it seems to kind of, I don't want to say lessen your words, but it kind of gives, like, it makes it feel like your words have less weight or less meaning to them. So that's the only reason why he's in A tier. However, he is a top-notch father to Ophelia, and Ophelia's just a sweetheart. So that's where he would, that's where he did right there. So he's going to be an A tier. Now, Fuga, if we're being honest, Fuga is a bounce between S tier and A tier, but I think I'd more put him in A tier. No, maybe. Okay, you know what? We'll put Fuga in S tier, being that his supports with Corrin, again, it's a little bit. It's a little bit weird, but it's not like he was talking about Corrin like, oh, I knew you since you were a baby. It's that I knew your father, kind of, which is still kind of in that weird territory, but again, as a husband, he's very devoted, he's very protective, he's not in the same range of being strict as Ryoma is, and also the fact that he's already got experience being a father, he raised Hayato and took care of, like, that's the sad thing. He loved a girl. That girl didn't love him the same way, and she married somebody else. He's basically the Titania of Fates, so he went through the same thing that Titania went, so I guess that's what we put him, and I love Titania too. Titania is one of my favorite characters. So, Shigure is going in the no bro character category, being that, like we said, he's your... What's our ranking for cousins? I think if it's like your second cousin, if it's your cousin's child. I should know this stuff technically because that's how my family works. My mom has a cousin who's technically also my cousin, but I think that makes us like second cousins or whatever. I don't know. Either way, if I had to rank him, I'd probably put him in A tier, being that he is nice and gentle and, kind, but he's also... Oh gosh, I don't know. I guess it's a little bit too reserved for me. Like, I don't know. I guess he has that will to fight, but not as much. Now, Silas, easily going into S tier. I know that's a very basic opinion, but Silas is a good dad. He's also good, like, literally, he's your childhood friend that he grew up, you know, like, wanting to basically reunite with you again, because oh gosh, if I'm being honest, that support between him and Corin, talking about when he first met, he's all shy and scared and reserved, and Corin just could not stop talking her head off. And that had such a profound effect on him that he wanted to see her again. And I think that kind of drive and devotion makes him, quite frankly, a top-tier husband. And then the fact that he is very supportive of Sophie, he believes in her, he kind of gives her Ava as a challenge to see her go through obstacles and then flourish as a knight. So he's easily S tier. Tsubaki, I would say, I don't know. I'm kind of debating between S tier and A tier. I think I'm putting him in A tier. And I have a friend who married Tsubaki. If you're watching this, well, I guess, I'm trying to figure out if I would drop her by her full name, Cranky Corvidae, I guess, or Cranky Corviknight. She goes by different things. Cranky, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I know that technically he should be S tier, but I think the only reason I would put him in A tier is that even though he's, like, I would say he's 100% better than some other characters, being in the fact that, or no, okay, you know what? I know who I'm trying to compare him to. I'm comparing him to Jacob. He's 100% better than Jacob, because even though he's kind of similar to Jacob in the fact that he prides himself on being perfect, he's not a complete... Trying to figure out an insult that I'm not gonna have to censor. He's not a complete tool. Okay, yeah, that's what I'd say. He's not a jerk to everybody else. Like, the problem with Jacob is that Jacob is a jerk to everybody else, and if I married somebody who kind of treated everybody else like garbage, I wouldn't jive with that. But Tsubaki, at least, will treat people fairly most of the time. His support with, I want to say, like, you know, most of his support with the other women is very polite and very respectful most of the time. Some of his supports with the other guys, I don't know if I've gotten to see all of his supports with the other guys. I know I saw his support with Niles, and he just acted appropriately and accordingly, because Niles is being a little, you know, Niles. But, and he's also, okay, that's the other thing too, he's a great father. He, like, despite the fact that he sees himself as perfect, he tries to lift Caldori to a sense of greatness as well, because he, you know, he loves her genuinely as his daughter, and he thinks that, you know, despite her insecurities, that she's perfect as herself. Like, he doesn't see her as like, oh, well, you're my daughter, so of course you're perfect. It's like, no, Caldori, you are perfect as you are, as yourself, because you put in all your work and your effort. So, you know, he borders between A tier and S tier. Now we're starting to get down to the final stretch. Azama is... You know what? I'm putting him in C tier. So, I know Azama is one of those, like, black or white characters. People either love him or they hate him. I do have mixed feelings on him. I feel like as a husband, he's kind of a little bit more pretentious, but also as a father, he's a really good father. He's not as clear-cut good father as somebody like Silas or Kaze is. He's more or less like the hard love or tough love type of character. So while Azama does soften up in his A support and his S support, he does kind of tend to be a little bit more pretentious sometimes, in the same way that Niles is a little bit. I'm actually very, very upset that we were robbed of a Niles and Azama support. I want to see those two throw down, and I would put all my money on Azama. But the other, okay, to go back to the father thing though, because I didn't wrap up my points on that. Mitama is definitely kind of inherited her father's nonchalance to where she kind of will do her own thing. But in that sense, he kind of helps her to understand what is important, like the importance of being a cleric, or I guess in the case of in the case of Fates is... What's the... healing, I guess? I don't know what the term is for healing. Or for the healers. Priests and priestesses. Shrine maidens. That's what I said. Bleh. Okay, I know if I kept saying words and, like, garbling them up, I'd get the right word eventually. The importance of being a healer. He teaches her that, you know, no snarkiness involved. He also tries to kind of teach her, like, hey, you can't be lazy and sleeping in all the time. I'm gonna try to make you wake up. And then he's like, well, maybe I've been too hard on you. I think after this war, if you are diligent enough in being a healer, we'll take a vacation. You can sleep in as long as you like. So he's actually, I would say, as a father, he's A tier, but overall, as a father and husband, he's probably more in the C tier. Now, Hayato is also in that category of would not touch with a 10-foot pole. Much in the same way that Percy is, but unlike Percy, I think I'd actually put Hayato in the D tier. And I actually know there's an audience for Hayato, so if you're watching this, I apologize, I'm not trying to be mean, but overall, I think Hayato is more, I guess, snippy with people. Like, he is very much caught up on the I'm not a child thing, so that makes him come off as a little bit more unfriendly. So even though he does I know he probably does warm up in his S supports, but that kind of puts a damper on the rating. And then the fact that, look, despite the fact that his daughter's Rajat, and, you know, Rajat is Rajat, he still was not exactly the greatest father, being more that he didn't keep track of her as well as he should have, because of the fact that she grew up actually older than he was, and he was a little bit neglectful. So I'd say kind of in the same range as, he's like literally a mix between Hinata and Niles in the fact that he didn't really visit his daughter enough. While I think that he does definitely make a good resolution with her, it still starts off kind of badly enough. So he's in the D tier. I'm sorry, Hayato fans. Like I said, if you like Hayato, hey, go for it. I support you guys 100%. Just not my cup of tea. Now we have the final three. So Caden. I think I'd actually put Caden in the S tier. Being that, like I said, he's like... Wait, no. Caden. Yeah, that's right. I said Caden, not Keaton. Sorry. I'm getting all word jumbled up. So, Caden's in S tier, being that, like Keaton, he is a very, he ends up being a very friendly and very happy husband type character. Like, he's obviously just like, oh, you know, you make me so happy, I'm gonna make you happy for the rest of your life, I love you, I love you, I love you. And the thing where, like I said before, where he succeeds, where Keaton does not succeed, is his relationship with Selkie. So, Selkie is precious. She's also the light of my life. And he basically helps her to flourish. Like, he loves her and basically kind of encourages that energy that she has. So, where Keaton fails as a dad... Keaton doesn't fail as a dad, but where Keaton fails, Caden succeeds. And that's what puts him in the S tier. Now we have Kuragi, who goes into the oh no bro territory. Oh, wait, nope, not D. Wouldn't be going in the D territory. He goes in the oh no bro territory, but if I had to rank him anywhere, I would put him in the A tier. Being that he's... I don't know, I don't want to say there's not a whole lot to his personality, but he's essentially a... I don't know. He's an A tier. I don't know if there's anything that would make him S tier. He is very upbeat and optimistic, and he also is very kind. In fact, actually, in my game, I shipped him with Selkie. Him and Selkie were absolutely adorable, and it's very, when they have their S support, it's very clear that he cares about her. So I guess technically he would be somewhere between S and A tier, but as we said, he's in the oh no bro character category. Now finally, we have the pickle boy himself. We have Hisame. So, Hisame is probably in the C tier, being that he's a little bit colder than his father. He's not completely awful. He's a little bit, he's a little bit nicer, but gosh, that whole weird pickle obsession too, and that confession line with the pickle too. I don't know why they couldn't have just given him like a different line. Like, that was just so weird. It kind of like, that kind of affects my ranking, but you know, he's not completely bad. He's obviously, he's a little bit more guarded than his dad is, being that his I guess upbringing didn't see a whole lot of positivity with his dad, so he's just a little bit guarded towards everybody in general, but he's not a completely awful person. So I guess that's where I would put him. And that's the end of the ranking video. So if you guys want to leave a comment, tell me what your thoughts are, whether you agree or disagree, whether I should go, I'm trying to think of a funny way to basically say people should be angry at me for my choices. Look, I don't blame you. I've watched tier videos before, and I've seen people make choices that made me sad. So, if you want to say, hey, I respect your opinion, but you know, you're totally wrong about it, go for it. Tell me what your personal rankings are. Tell me what you think of the rankings that I did. If I was fair or unfair. If you think that a character is a little bit better than they should be. I mean, I'm not going to really change my opinions, but that's kind of that's kind of who I'm just going to stay on. But anyways, if you tuned into this video, thank you for tuning in. Sorry this wasn't a summoning video. We will get back to summoning videos once I have enough orbs for a redemption summoning for Na and Mir. But for now, we are going to end this right here. So, okay, sorry. I know there's a weird cut, but I just realized I didn't hit cancel on the screen recording. So now this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.